class and you create an object from it, then you use those objects as Lego parts. By using those objects, you create the project. So scanners, one of the first steps when we are trying to learn Java. To understand the logic, I believe it's an important step, but in real life, you are not going to use it a lot, but still, you should know when you need to take a data from user from console at least. Okay, first, let's review what we have learned in yesterday's lesson. Today, we will have a quiz. I was planning to do a quiz, but I'm not sure right now. Let's start with reviewing everything. Then we can check it. First, let me make it bigger. We have learned how to assign variables. First you need to write the data type. If it is a number, you can use integer data type. If it is a text, you should use string. The name of data, it can be anything, but most of the time we prefer using a name that explains the purpose of that variable. Equal symbol and the value of the variable. Whenever I say my mark, Java will understand I am trying to reach 50. Here we have learned how to use it. Let's run it one more time. I'm not going to run all the classes, but just for this one, let's run it. When you directly write the variable name, it will print the value of it. It is 50, so it will print 50 here. If you write it between double quotes, Java will think it as a text. It's not about coding. It's a text, and no matter what, Java will use it like this. And when you want to print it, instead of the value of this data, it will directly print the text you write here. At the last part, before the value of my mark, we entered an explaining. And as you can see, I have entered it between double quotes. It means no matter what, it will be printed exactly like this. Today I got, and value of my mark. It was 50, so it will print 50 there. We have learned a few data types from the Java. I will show them here. We have learned Boolean. If you remember, Boolean can take only two values. The first one is the true, and the second one is the false. Actually, if you are planning to store an answer for a question, an answer for yes/no questions, you can use Boolean. If the answer is yes, it will be true. If the answer is no, it will be false. Things like that. Are you a student? If you want to store that data, the answer of that question, you can use a Boolean because it's like a yes/no question. Char. Char means you can store only one letter or one number or one symbol. Important thing is when you are using char, it can only store one character, and it should be written between single quotes like this. Floating data, if there is decimal in the number, for example, 1,312,664, things like that. If there is a decimal part like this, you should use float or double data types. If it is a whole number, you should use these data types. The capacity of these data types are different. So according to your desire or your purpose, your plan, you can use different data. For example, bytes limits are -127 to -28 and positive 127. Yes, it was like this. If you want to store a different value above lesser than this limits, byte won't be able to store it correctly. But if you are planning to store age, for example, you can use byte. I don't think anybody will be bigger than older than this number. You can use byte for the age, or if you are trying to store day number or month, you can also use byte because the maximum number is 31, the minimum one is 1, so without any problem, byte can store it. When you go to the right side, the capacity is increasing. The long has the biggest capacity here, but most of the time we prefer using integer. It is like it has 2 billion capacity, up to 2 billion. I can store numbers. Okay. If you are planning to store a text, you should use string data type. Name, novels, long texts, things like that. Always use string data type. Everything should be printed between double quotes. If it is a name, if you want to store it somewhere, you should write it like this, between double quotes. Okay, I think that's enough. Let's go back to the IntelliJ. Yes, Boolean can store as you can only true or false. This is a Boolean data type. Is student true? Yes, the person is student. Char can store only one character like this, one number, one symbol, one letter. It cannot store more than one character. It has to be only one character. Number data types, byte, short, integer, long. These are whole number data types. You can use any of them according to your purpose in the project. Non-primitive. Until now, we have learned primitive data types. They do not have primitive data types are very simple, and because of that simplicity, they are very fast. But there are also non-primitive data types. We are going to use only string data type as a non-primitive data type. The first thing, when you see a data type, if you wonder if it's a primitive or non-primitive, you should check first letters. If the first letter is a lowercase, it means it's a primitive. Like integer, as you can see, first letter is a lowercase, it means it's a primitive. Primitive data. First letter is a capital uppercase, so it means this is a non-primitive. It's a little bit before, and as you can understand from the name, these are very simple data types, but they are mostly used in programming because of their speed. They are very fast. Non-primitive data types, of course, we use them a lot because they have pre-made methods which are created by Java developers. When you press dot after creating a string data type, we have seen it. You can see pre-made methods and use them. But for now, that's enough. One more thing about the primitive and non-primitive data. There are 8 primitive data types. We cannot create our own primitive data, but the number of non-primitive data, I do not know. There are a lot of them. The most important part, we can create our own non-primitive data type. without anything, without limitation. We can create a lot of non-primitive data. Okay. Scanner, if you want to take a value from user, you are going to take a value, a data, age, for example, and you will use it in the program. If you are planning to take a value from user, you should use scanner. You should create a scan object from scanner class. And you do it like this. Scanner scan new scanner bracket system.in. That's all. Now we are ready to take a value from user. But we should tell user that we are asking for a data, like please enter your name. And when user sees that, of course, he or she should enter the name. By using scan, the one we have created here, I will take the value. This will take the value, but we have to store it somewhere. This code has been taken the value, but I will save it to a string data type, and the name will be user's name. As you can see, this is a string data type, so it can store name kind of variables. Okay. And I told you that when you create a non-primitive data type, and string is one of them, because the first letter is a capital, as you can see, you can use premade methods. Here, I have used a primitive premade method. After writing the object name and variable name, when you press dot here, as you can see, there will be a lot of methods for you. Here we have a lot of different methods we can use in the action. But for now, don't worry about them. I will use to uppercase. That was the code here. And it will, user enter it like this. And because of this method, all cases turn it to capitals. And we have done a few more things. And one more thing. If you want to take text from user, after the scan, you should use next command. But if you are planning to take an integer, here we have learned that, let me show you. After the scan, you should use next int. Whatever user enters here, it should be a number, of course, will be stored in this variable. If I was planning to take a double, a number with decimals, I should have entered, have written next double. It is, you will decide it according to the type you are planning to store to it. And here we have taken out of text and numbers from user. Here we have taken the surname of the user by using the next, because I am planning to get a text. But now, if I want to get the age, it should be integer, next integer, I mean. Okay, do not say anything different here. Another blah, 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 blah. Oh, that was a good question. That's the solution is very short, but actually it's a good question, because when you create the logic, the question is very easy. If you can create the logic, first you need to solve the question in your brain, then you should tell computer to follow your instructions. If you cannot solve it before coding, it will be very hard. But still, even though you can, if you could not be able to solve it in your brain, just start typing and the rest will come to you. It is always like this. Just start typing and wait for the solution. It will come. But here, I need this question. So I created the logic and I have tried to explain you. The question was, we are going to take two numbers from user and we were planning to swap them. You know, as a first number, let's say user entered 15 and the second number was 6. At the end, first number becomes 6 and the second number becomes 15. They change their places. We swap them. If you wonder the logic, I can explain it again. No? Okay. I do not remember this one. Oh, okay. It was something about the chart. Don't worry, we will cover a lot of places today. So let's return the slides to our part. Where are they? Oh, yes, we have learned a lot of things. This is also important, you know, the naming. When you are planning to give a name, first letter should be a lowercase to a variable. And after, for example, you want to write another word after this one, you cannot use space. It's very important. Using space is forbidden in coding. So you should start with a capital. Well, you can write after no. You can write anything here. If you want to add another one, still it should start with capital. It's called camel case. First, camel's head, and it's almost like this. Okay. You can use underline too instead of space. It is acceptable. I mean, after no, like this. If you want to use a space here, instead use a underline. Oh, we have talked about the memory usage. I'm not going to talk about it again. It is a good question that can be asked in interviews, but nowadays they do not ask it. But still, you should know when you understand the logic of the Java, most of the time you will be able to solve questions easier. Okay, yes, if you are planning to take a value from user, you have to use scanner, and the object creation is like this. After writing the object's name, when you press dot, you will be able to see out of different permit methods. And if you use next, you can take string. If you use next boolean, you should take a boolean value from user. And whatever data you are expecting, you should use different next for it. Okay, and the auto blah blah. Finally, and yesterday we have also solved a lot of questions from here. I did not solve the question 8 because it's a little hard to understand, and it's about the math, so don't worry about it. But if you like challenge, you can try to solve it. It's not very hard when you understand it, but it's very hard to think about it without knowing the answer. Okay, data casting. You know, in Java, we will transform different data to different data, and we sometimes we have to change them. In this kind of situations, we will use data casting. You will ask me, of course, why we need to learn this? Why do we need to change data types? For example, the task is comparing the values of two products in the website. A product and price is 10. Product B has 20 USD as a price. But most of the time, developers will print them as a string. So when you get it from the page, automatically, they will be string values. For example, price of A, it will be 10 USD. Price of B, it will be 20. If it's a string, if it is written between double quotes like this, you cannot use any math calculations on them. First, you need to make them a normal number, not text. You should turn them to integer or any other number data type. And we will use integer here because most of the time it's better to use integer. We are not creating a big application, or we don't have that kind of goal, so it won't change anything. If you don't write anything, the system also will use integer data type. Okay, so to do any math on them, if you want to compare them, you should change them to number data type. And we will face this kind of things a lot. Some castings are very easy. We do not need to do anything. When you ask Java to do it without any problem, Java will be able to do casting. But sometimes it is impossible. When I'm saying impossible, I mean it. You cannot turn all the data to different data types. There will be always limits, and actually you won't need to turn them. It is unnecessary. Some of them are very easy, and some of them are impossible. For example, when you want to store a number, the data type is an integer. You cannot store, no matter what, you cannot store a text inside of a number box. This number is integer box, and it can only store the numbers. When you try to put a text in it, Java will complain. Java will scream, actually. You cannot do it. It is very same here. You know, false is a Boolean data. You cannot store a Boolean inside of a string data. This expects to receive or store a text, just like this one between double quotes. When you write like this, Java will complain. Java will get very angry with you if you do it like this. In string, as you can see, you can store any text without any problem. But here, we know this name data is a string. It is a string data which has a text in it. If you try to store it in a number, just like here, it won't accept it. You can store a Boolean like this in a Boolean, and false is a Boolean data. You can store it in a Boolean data type, but still you cannot store it in a string. Just like this one, but before that, we are assigning a false to a Boolean data. But you know, this is a double. It has a decimal value. You cannot store a decimal number to an integer storage, integer data, because integers should be whole numbers. It cannot store a number with decimal. But opposite is very possible. You know, every integer whole number actually is a decimal. They can be written with decimals. .0. This is actually it is equal to 12. So even though it's a whole number, an integer, it can be stored in double because it has a lot of invisible decimals there. 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, it goes on that way. And I will try to explain this part in a few minutes. Okay. Here we have talked about this one too. Byte has capacity minus 127, 8, sorry, till 127. It is a short capacity, I know that. Short has going up to 32,000 and blah, blah. I am not sure about the rest. And minus 32. So whatever number byte has, without any problem, it can be stored as a short. Let's say we have 100. 100 will be always between short's capacity. But if I try to assign a short to byte, system will complain. Okay, let's start coding, and by doing that, perhaps we do not get sleepy. Today is the third day, I believe. I will right-click on the SRC, new package, and I will create today's package. Day 02. What was the name? Oh, of course, data casting. And let's create first class. Oh, sorry, let me check something here. Okay. CO1, today's first class, data casting. First, if you remember, we have to create the main method, then create a space between starting and ending curly braces. And now we can write any code here between those curly brackets. So let's write a few things. Some data types cannot be changed to others. For example, I'm not going to give an example here. And I will write something here. For example, I will create a string here. You know, string can only store text values in it, and the name of my string will be str, and I will try to assign 23. As you can see, Java is complaining. It says you are trying to store a string data type. I have created a box for a string value, text value, but you are providing integer. So Java is complaining. We cannot cast a number to a string data like by this. Let's make it a column. Another one, I will create another boolean. First, let me show it to you. Boolean, for example, is student. And I will make the assignment like this. Again, Java will complain. You know, Boolean can store only true or false values. But when you use double quotes, it means you are making it a text. So you cannot store a text in Boolean. Boolean can take only two values, true or false. When you make it like this, it won't accept it. a Boolean can store only two different values, true or false. When we write them, one of them between double quotes, it will be a text, so we cannot store it in a Boolean. The right way of doing it is like this. Let me show you. Boolean is student. Oh, first I should use space equals to true. It's the right way of doing it. This is how we store a Boolean data. When you use it between double quotes, it will be text, and you cannot store a text in a Boolean data. Now I will create a number, and I will try to assign true to it, integer a. This is a Boolean, as you can see, true or false, but I'm trying to store it in a number. Let's see the explaining. I will move mouse over it. It says you have created an integer box, but you are trying to put a Boolean in it, and because of that, Java won't accept it. It does not fit. We cannot store a Boolean in in an integer. One more thing I want to show you. For example, double. I will create a double number. And actually, double numbers can store decimal numbers, numbers with decimals, but I haven't used any decimal. But still, every normal number or integer, whatever you say, actually is a real number. It means they have invisible decimals, 0, 0, 0, it goes on that way. Because of that, Java does not complain here. It is very same. Let's create an integer number. Int number. I will assign a random number to it. Then I will try to assign it to a long value. Long number. I will make the assignment. I will assign it to integer number. We can see a color change, but don't worry, as long as it is not underlined red, everything will work. So still it is not complaining. There is no red underline. It means it will work. If it was like this, we should be careful here. But here, we do not have anything like that. So don't worry, continue. But I will try to explain what I have done here. This is integer number, and the value of it, I can see it from the previous line. It is 15. And I'm trying to assign it to a long number. If you remember, long has a very long capacity, so without any problem, it can store it. Long has bigger capacity. No matter what integer number is, long will be able to store it because it has a wider capacity. Okay. When we try to cast data to a wider data type, to a wider capacity, I mean, Java do casting automatically without any complaint. It will complete the casting. So let's try to solve a few more examples here. I will create a short. You know, the capacity is around 32,000. You should not remember them, of course. Short number, it will be, I will use 23 here. I have created another variable. Of course, I'm not going to use it, but still it should be there. And let's try to assign it to integer. Integer, int number 1. It will be equal to short number. Which one has wider capacity, integer or short? Can you say me? Can you tell me? Which one has wider capacity, short or integer? Okay, let me check slide. No movement there. Zoom channel. No, nothing. Okay. Actually, integer has wider capacity. Oh, thank you very much, Ramazan. Yes, you are right. Integer has wider capacity, so without any problem, Java will be able to store short value into integer. You know, because of the capacity. Oh, let me clean everything here and continue. I will do the same thing for the float. I will create now a float, and float number, it will be equal to short number. Again, without any problem, without any red line, we could be able to do casting without any problem. It means still float has higher capacity than a short number. I'm sorry. I will do the same thing for a long number. Long number, and I will make the assignment. Oh, I will add 1 to there. It says you have used this number, this name, so you cannot use it again. And so I just added 1 to end of it. Okay. Without any problem, we could be able to do them, but let's see. This float number is never used. It's not very important. As you can see, it is working. When we when we change the places, but when we change the places, I mean, when we try to cast a wider capacity to a narrower data type, Java won't accept it. Java won't accept it. Let's try. I will do the same thing. Let's create a double number 2. It will be 20. Okay, without any problem. And I will try to assign it to an integer number. Integer int number 2 equals to number 2. Here, Java is complaining because, you know, double has wider capacity, and it can store really big numbers that integer cannot. Because of that, without checking the value of the number, it will stop the coding. It says, hey, this has a very large capacity and you are trying to squeeze it to a small place. It is not possible. I cannot do that. But the value of it is 200, as you can see, I have created here. And integer has capacity around 2 billion. It should fit there. It's 20, man. It should fit to the integer. And normally, if I try to assign 20 to integer without any problem, I can. But Java does not check the values of the data. If one of them has bigger capacity, if you are trying to secure a wider capacity in a small place, Java will complain about it. We cannot assign. Yes, I have written it here, so I'm not going to write it. Assign it to integer even for it is a small number. When we try to assign it, Java does not check the values. If it is wider than the if the right side is wider than the left side, Java will not accept it. That's a problem because sometimes we may need to use it. You may need to assign it to an integer, and this is a number, double number. But I know it is an integer. An integer can store it if I am sure about that. I'm sorry. If I am sure about the numbers in the capacity of the value that I am trying to create, actually I can force Java to do the casting. Let's go back to the slide and I will try to explain it here. So this has the widest capacity, as you can see. The biggest one belongs to double. This one is the smallest capacity. It is on a byte. When I try to assign byte to long without any problem, long can accept it. Even though it is the biggest value, which is 107, I know by long can accept because it has, I'm not sure, a lot of numbers. It can store a lot of numbers in its bucket. When I try to do opposite, long can store very long numbers, 99999999999, but byte cannot store all those numbers. So if you try it like this, Java will not accept it. But we can force Java. It is called explicit narrowing. Because it has a long capacity, it has a wide capacity, and I am narrowing that capacity to byte. If it is 2, if you store 2 in the long, without any problem, you can narrow it to byte. But if it's a really long number like 2 million, bytes maximum capacity is 127. When we try to do this job by forcing Java, interesting things will happen. But don't worry about it for now. Let's focus on the topic. If you try to cast left to right without any problem, we can. For example, a byte a is equal to 12. And this is a byte, I know it. Without any problem, I can make the assignment to integer, byte to integer. It can. And b is integer now, and I'm trying to assign b to c, which is double, and it will be like this, small to big one. Without any problem, Java can do the casting. What happens if I try to narrow the capacity? Integer is 12, a is 12. I'm trying to assign 12 to b byte, which can store up to 128. But still, Java will complain without checking the value of the a. It will see it like this. Hey, you are trying to assign an integer, which has a wider capacity, to a byte, which has narrow capacity. Java will complain here. It is same for integer to byte to integer. It is same for C. C is 567, which is very high for a byte data. When you try to assign it to byte, Java will still complain about it. Because Java won't check the values. Actually, the first one may work. It is between the bytes capacity, 12, but the second one is way beyond all bytes capacity. Okay. Still, if you try to force a bigger number to narrower data, you may lose data, or system may change data. But it's possible. You can force it. How do we force? Just write. It was like this. Between the older data, just write the data you are trying to change to. You are trying to change it. Here I'm trying to change a to byte, so I should write byte just before it, between normal brackets. It means, hey, I know you do not do it, but don't worry, Java. I'm here and I know what I'm doing. Just do the casting. Trust me. When you write it here, it means that. Okay, let's have our 10 minutes break time. Then we can continue. Thank you very much, and I hope to see you after 10 minutes. We'll continue learning. Where is the counter? Thank you very much. Hello again. So let's continue. Where were we? I will take it from somewhere else. Let's minimize it. Okay, we were talking about the casting, auto narrowing. I'm sorry, narrowing and auto widening. Narrowing means we are forcing Java to narrow the capacity. Auto widening means it is being done by Java automatically. Because of that, it's called auto widening. Oh, let's try to solve a few questions. Okay. Here, as you can see, we have done auto widening because it was a short number and we increased the capacity of the number by doing nothing. Just equal to simple symbol made the work. Let's try to open another class named CO2 explicit narrowing. Forcefully, we will narrow the capacity. Before everything else, I will create main method and create a place for my code. Now, I will create an integer. Integer has integer number. Integer has big capacity, wide capacity, and I will assign 20. Even though capacity is near 2 billion, I have only assigned 20. Let's try to assign this number to short, which has narrower, smaller capacity. Short number, it will be equal to integer number. I know that this is 20, and normally, without any problem, I can assign 20 to a short number, a number with the dot type short. It is in its capacity, but because of integer number and it is using integer capacity, it has a very big capacity, and we are trying to assign a huge capacity to narrow one. I told you that it does not check the value. So without checking the value, it will say, hey, you cannot do that. You cannot make this casting. But of course, there's a way. How do that? We should write something there. We cannot force, we cannot do narrowing like this. Instead, we should type the data type we want to convert to. It will be like this. Short, okay, short number equals the integer number. It was like this. To force Java to do this casting, I will enter short here. When I do that, as you can see, I'm telling Java, hey, I know that integers capacity is wider than short, but I know what I'm doing. Just do the casting and change the data type to short. I know what I'm doing. I'm professional, don't worry. By writing the we are forcing Java to do the casting, but if integer number is higher than capacity of short, things will get interesting. If the integer number is higher than short capacity. Things will get interesting. Don't worry for now, we will see that. Let's print the short numbers. So short number. If we can see the value of the short number, which is 20 here, it means it is working. As you can see, 20, it works. Let's try to do something else. For example, let's do the casting from a decimal number to integer number. Let's try to do this casting with a double to integer. You know, a double can accept decimals, but integer cannot. I will create a double number. Double number, it will be got a number like this. And let's try to do casting to integer. You know, double has a wider capacity than integer. So if you write it normal way, it won't, Java will not accept it. But let's try it. Integer int number 2 double number. As you can see, there is a complaining here. I should force Java. How do that? I want to turn it to integer, so I should write integer here between normal brackets. Integer. And it stopped complaining. The responsibility is mine. When we try to cast a number with decimal to integer, we will lose data. Let me show it to you. When I try to print integer number, so integer number 2, actually it should be like this, right? I am trying to cast a double number to integer, but integer cannot accept decimals. So absolutely there will be something here, an error here. But let's see. Let's try to see what we could be able to cast. As you can see, integer did not accept decimal numbers, decimal units. So it could only store the whole number, integer part. Integer can only store all numbers, so it won't store decimal units. Okay, I think it is acceptable. So, and now things will get more interesting here. I will create an integer and I will try to cast it to byte. You know, integer has a long capacity and byte is very short, very narrow. And let's see what happens. And I will try to assign cast a number which is higher than short's capacity. I will create another integer number 3, which will be 256. And let's cast it to a byte number. Byte number. And now integer number 3 will be assigned to it. Of course, integer has wider capacity, so it won't accept it. Let's force it. Byte. And it's not I'm sorry. It's not complaining anymore. Let's see what is the value of this byte number, because a byte cannot store 256. So byte number. Under the 12, we will see value of the byte. Oh, interesting. It is 0. Let's try to turn different number. The capacity of byte, we know, of byte is from minus 108 to 127. So I will use this time. I will increase the maximum capacity only by 128. Let's see now. It is minus 128. It's interesting. If I increase it 1 by 1, now it is minus 28. At the first attempt, it is like this. If I increase the number by 1, now I have increased the number to 129. Oh, it is 127. Interesting. Let me write it here. 429. It is 127. 428. It is this value. Let's increase it one more. The value is now minus 126. Interesting. 1326. As you can see, while I'm increasing the number, this value is also increasing. I know because of the minus, it's very hard to see it. I will use 256, so we will be able to see it now. For 256, it is 0. And I will only increase it. I will increase it by 2. Oh, I should write 8. Now, the value of 0 will increase by 2. As you can see, it is 2 now. There is an order here, and we should be able to understand what's happening here. Let me explain it. Let's draw a line, and the maximum capacity is 127, and the minimum capacity is minus 28, and there is a 0 here. I will try to explain. When I used 127, it will, of course, 127, it will come here. If I increase it by 1, when I use 128, it cannot store it, as you can see. It is out of the limits. Actually, it is returning to starting point. When you use it, when you use 128, it comes here. Think it like a cycle. When you pass this point, it returns to the beginning. It is acceptable because you are out of the limit, but actually you are not going outside of the limit. You are turning starting point. And again, it will be followed like this. When I use 2056, it will be 2056. Actually, let me change the color. $2056. It comes here. If you calculate the number, it will be exactly like this. And when I try to use 258, Actually, there are two steps, right? 1, 2, and it will come to this point. And here it will also go 2 steps. And because of that, the result is 2. Every number, if you force it to save it in a byte, every number will be in limits. But if you try to force a number which is not in the limits, it will put in it. It will, no matter what, it will be between those limits. Okay, I hope I could be able to explain. Do you have any question about this one? No question? Okay, let me delete everything and continue. Yes, there are questions, review. I'm sorry, those are the review tags. We are going to see them tomorrow. And char data type. You know, we have learned that char can store only one character. It can be a number, a symbol, or a letter. Doesn't matter, as long as there is only one character. You can store it as a char in a char box. But it has a very different table. You know, for computers, actually, there is no letter. Everything is number. It is same for everything. As you can see, when you write P, for example, the value of it will be 80. This is the exact number of this letter. If it is a lowercase, the value of it will be 112. Every symbol and the symbols we haven't seen before has a number. This table has been created when the first computers are created, but it hasn't been changed until now. It was like this at the first days, and still in this modern age, it is still same. We do not need to change it because it's working perfectly fine. If it is working, don't touch it. We do not want to break something. You should know that char character has a tendency to act like a number. When you use B, for example, if you write in a wrong place, it will act like 66. It will be seen like a number. It has its own benefits, and we will use this property, of course, but we should know that every character has different values. You can reach this table from Google. Just write ASCII table here on Google, and you will be able to see this chart in Google, ASCII codes. So, for example, this is a little confusing. Before that, I want to show you in coding. Here we are. I will open another class, CO3, char data casting. Don't forget, char has a tendency to act like number. So, oh, I have forgotten the first thing. Before everything, I need to create the main method, then I can do anything. If you want to mention that it's a char, you should print them between single quotes like this. Let's print this one. We should see A on the screen, of course. Without any problem, we could be able to say it. If I write something else, another char, can you tell me what I will see on the console? Yes, it's a tricky question. Okay. Let me run the class. Interesting. There is a number there, 195. So to understand what's happening here, I will show you the values of A and B. Let's go back to the chart and let's find A. 97, right? The value of A is 97. I will go back and write it. 97 for A. What about the B? B comes after it and it is 98. 98. As you can see, actually, Java has calculated some of those numbers. 98 plus 97 plus 98 equals to 195. That's the result. The reason is they saw a math symbol. Oh, there's a math symbol. Come on, we should act like numbers. That is what's happening there. When they see a math calculation, they will act like number. Even though you write A here or B, they will act like numbers just like this. Don't worry, there's another way to print them like letters, but for now, let's focus on this logic. Before coming here, I want to solve a question. Yes, this one. Take a letter from user. We are going to take a letter from user. It means scanner, if you remember. Print the next 3 letters in alphabet. Oh, somehow user will enter A and we will print BCD. User will enter B, and according to the B, we will write Java, the code will write 3 letters after it. CD, I think. So user will enter a letter, and we will print next 3 letters in the alphabet. Let's do that. I will copy the question to a new class. If I can find it. No, not there. It should be somewhere here. Okay, I found it. Come on. I will share it. I think you are using Zoom channel. I will share the question here and I will try to solve it. CO4 question. Oh, we could have used this class, but don't worry about it. This is a question. Take a letter from user and print the next 3 characters in the alphabet. Let's try to create a logic. It has 2 steps, main steps actually. First, we should be able to take a letter from user. Let's focus on this. Divide and conquer. Yes, to take a letter from user, I'm sorry. we should use scanner class, and we should create a scan object. To do that, there were 3 steps. First, scanner, we should create an object, scan object. Then we should inform user what we are asking for. Then we should take the data, here it is letter, and we should store it somewhere. First, let's create the scanner object. Scanner, scan, new scanner system.in. I have created the scanner. Then let's inform the user. Hey user, please enter a letter. Hey user, please enter a letter. You do not need to write this part. Let's delete it. It's too casual. Please enter a letter. User will enter a letter, and I should save it somewhere, right? If it is a 1 letter, I can use char. Char. Let's say first letter. I will take it from user. It means I should use the scan object I have created before. Scan dot. I told you that normally, if you are planning to store an integer, you should use next int. If you are planning to take a double, you should use next double. If it's a long, next long. If it's a short, next short. But we don't have next char method. So we will add another one. If you remember, next code will take the first word user enters. Then I will add another one, char at 0. Even though user enters a word here, the system will take only the first char. 0 means you should take the first character from the word. If user enters only 1 character, it doesn't matter. It will still work because it is the first character of the word. Single-worded, single-lettered word. Okay, I could be able to store my character. Now, somehow, in the next step, I should be able to print next through letters. But if you remember, you should always write an explaining 4 steps. Actually, the tricky part is here. In the first part, this one is a hard. We have seen it, but it's hard to remember it here. But this part, we haven't learned how to do it. I will try to solve it without wasting a lot of time on it. Okay. It's not very hard, don't worry. We will do it like this. You know, chars, every char character has a number value. If user enters A, if I print it like this, so the first letter plus 1. Let's see what happens. Normally it was, for example, let's say user entered A. The number of A is, let's check the chart. I've forgotten. Number of A is 97, as you can see. If I add 1 number, it will be 98, and this is the value of the B. If I add another one, I could be able to reach the number of the C. I am planning to use this logic, so I have added first letters value 1. Let's run it. I will enter A, and you know it is the value of A is 97. Let's see if it works. Oh, it works. I could be able to reach the 98, but it's not a letter. Things will get complicated here. Don't worry, always we have a way. Somehow, I could be able to reach the 98, but somehow I should be able to cast this number to char. We able to cast this value, here it is 98, to a char character, which will be B, for example. To cast it to something else, before it, you just need to write the data char. As you can see, I'm saying that, hey, I want to cast this data to a char. Okay, let's do it. I will again enter A. Oh, wow, I did it. I could be able to reach B without any problem. This is 98, and I'm forcing Java to turn it to a char. But they asked me to print 2 more. It should be easy. I will add plus here. And first letter plus to write. First letter plus 2. And again, I will force it to char. Char. And after that, I want to write another letter. It will be first letter plus 3. It should be between brackets. I will force it to char. Let's see. It should work. If it doesn't, I have another solution. I will write A. Oh, no, it did not. What happened there? Let me explain. This is a char. Okay. It became B. This part became B. And the second part, I'm sorry, here, C, and the third part is D. And it is B plus C plus D. These are char characters. So it is like this now. When a char character sees a math calculation, they have tendency to act like a number. So B is 98, 99, and this 100, I think. The calculation of this is this number. Somehow, I should stop this. Don't worry about it. I will add this symbol before them. I will explain how it does it. But for now, if you write it like this, they won't act like numbers. Just empty double quotes here, then plus. And now we will be able to see the letters. In next lessons, I will explain why it happened like this. Without any problem, I could be able to see B, C, D. Let's try another letter. I'm bored of A. I will use. It works. What about M? Nope, it is working. So it works, as you can see. Here, you should remember that when you are talking about the char, every char has a value. And when they see a math calculation like plus, minus, or any other symbols, math symbols, they will act like numbers. If you want to see them, you have to force them to be a char. This is the letter. If you add 1 to it, the value will increase. And they will act like a number. So you have to cast it to a char. So you can turn a number to character, or you can turn a character to a number like this. Okay. We can solve another. But for now, let's continue. If you have time, we can solve another question. Or I have a quiz. At the end of the lesson, we can solve the quiz. That's better, I think. Wrapper classes. It's a new topic. I will try to explain. First, primitive data types. They are fast because they are very simple. Like integer a equals to 12. This is a primitive data. How do we understand if the first letter is a lowercase? It means it's a primitive. It doesn't have complex functions, features. It is only storing the number. That's all. When you say a, computer will say 12. That's all. It doesn't have another feature. And it doesn't have any pre-made method. But as you can see here, this is primitive integer, and this is the wrapper class of it. It means when you create it like this, if you use capital integer like this, you will have a lot of pre-made methods which you can use with this data. Well, let me show it to you. Wrapper class CO5. First things first, main method, then continue. Now I will create an integer. Integer a equals to 12. When I will write a number. It will be better, I think, a number. When I write a number and press dot, here I cannot see any method. Do you see any M here? It means these are not methods. It does not work. If you press dot after the name of the primitive data, you won't see a method, because primitive data do not have pre-made methods, because data do not have any pre-made methods. I will do the same thing by using different data type. Integer number 2, and it will be equal to 25. Doesn't matter. Oh, I couldn't be able to type number. Number 2. When I press dot, here I can see a lot of different methods. How can I understand that? There's an M at the beginning. It means these are methods I can use with this number. I can compare it, get class, double value, equals, a lot of different methods I can use with this data. Let's write it. The first letter is a capital. It means this is a non-primitive data. After writing a non-primitive data, if you press dot, you will be able to see a lot of pre-made methods. They are created, of course, these pre-made methods are created by Java developers. One more thing, this is the data type, and let me show you something interesting. When I integer after data type, if I press dot, as you can see, I can see a lot of different methods that I can use. Mean value, oh, interesting. I can receive the mean value of integer. And there should be max value too. Oh, here it is. Size, type, reverse, sum, perhaps. This, I think it calculates to different numbers. Minimum, maximum. Here we have a lot of different methods we can use. Let's try to use one of them. South integer max. It was with capitals. I think this will give me the maximum value that an integer can take. It is this. So you do not need to memorize anything. If you need it, you can take it from integer class. Integer mean value. What is the mean value of integer? Let me see that too. Here it is. And there are a lot of different methods like this. Let's write and explain here. Java developers created wrapper classes normally this is the integer data type, and this is the wrapper class. It is doing the same thing, but it has a lot of functions, so it's called wrapper class. To add pre-made methods to variables. Coders, developers asked Java developers to create this kind of classes to use pre-made methods. They do the same thing. Wrapper do the same thing with primitive data type. The only difference is pre-made methods. Only difference is pre-made methods, which are created by Java developers. You can use integer to store a number, of course, and without any problem, it can be used to store a number. Only difference is, of course, it will take a little bigger space in the memory, but don't worry about it for now. It is not a big problem. A lot of primitive data types have this kind of wrapper class. For example, char. I will create a char character, char1, let's say, and it will be equal to b. I have a char character. When I write char dot, I cannot reach any method, as you can see. Let me write the wrapper class of char. It is character. When I press dot, here we have a lot of pre-made methods. These are the functions, but don't worry about them. Methods to uppercase is digit, char count, quote point add, blah 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 blah. A lot of different methods. I will use one of them. For example, character. So character dot is digit. From the name, you can understand we are checking if whatever I enter here is a digit. The answer will be false, of course, because B is not a digit. It's coming, it came. As you can see, it is false. If I entered 7 here, the result will be true. I'm saying 7, but writing 5. I think it's not a big problem there. Still, it's a digit, right? True it is. You can say there's also a sort character. Another method is letter method, or is lowercase, is uppercase, things like that. But let's use this letter and B. It will be true because B is a letter. We will say false, true. Here it is. Third one is true. Okay. I will show you something else now, right now. We have a string data type which can store text values, and I will try to use a text value in a math calculation. If we try to use a text string data in math calculations, what happens? Let's try to understand that. I will create 2 different string variables, string str1. It will be equal to, if it's a string, you should write it between double quotes. And I did. Let's create another string str2. It will be equal to 12. Now I have 2 different string datas, and they have different values. Let's try to find the sum of those numbers. So str1 plus str2. Normally, if I write it like this, start 123 plus 12, it will give me the result, right? After the last row, we can see the result. What happens when I write it like this? What happens if I use text values instead of numbers? Let's see. It is very interesting, as you can see. Let's try to understand what's the difference here. And we have 10 minutes break time. You can think about it in that 10 minutes. So let's have our 10 minutes break time, and we will continue. Thank you very much. Hello, we are back in the action. We won't need it after those lessons, so let's close this browser. Okay. I have tried to do math calculation with string values. Let's me explain it like this. The first value was 126, which is here, and the second one was 12. As you can see, instead of the math calculation, Java did concatenation. They added them all together. It was if it was like this, for example, if I had used the result would be like this. First, it will print the str1 and then str2 like this because of this plus symbol. It is same thing. Java does not know that they are numbers, so it is acting like they are still text. So it does the concatenation. Java adds them all together like this. If you want to do math calculation with the text, we have to ask help from some classes. If we want to map with text values, we have to turn them to numbers. First, we should turn them to numbers. Let's do that. I start one is 1 to 3. I know that it's a number, but it seems like a text because of this double counts. If I want to turn them to numbers automatically, of course, with my eye, I can see it's 123. I can do it manually, but I want to create a dynamic code where everything is automated. So I want to turn it to an integer. Integer int str1. I will ask help from integer class. This integer class has premade method which will help me here. Dot parse int, as you can see. And inside of it, I will write the string value. Here, this method changes number text to numbers. So I will write str1 here. This will take this str1, which is 126. This is 126. But it's a string, as you can remember, because of there's double dots. And this code will change it to normal 123, and it will save it because of this equality symbol. It will save it inside of the integer str1. From now on, this will be a number, and I can use it in any math calculation. Let's do that. I have turned the first one. Let's create an integer for the second one. Integer str2. Naming is not important. I used a name like this to understand which is what. Again, I will ask help from integer class. Please change this str2 to a number 2. Actually, they are numbers, don't worry. And because of this code, they will turn to themselves. This is, this one is, well. Now they are numbers, so I can calculate some of these numbers. Let's do it. So integer str1 plus integer str2. Now I should be able to see the result. 135, of course, after this long one. Here it is. After the long one, again, I could be able to see 135. If you want to see an explaining, so some of two string values, just before writing 125, it will print this for us to understand, for us to make it easier for us to understand. Sum of two string values, as you can see, it is 135. Do you have any question here? I would love to answer them. If you have any question, please do not hesitate to ask anytime, anywhere. No question? Okay, let's continue. What we have done here, we have learned that this is a primitive type, and if you use first letter, if the first letter is a capital, it means this is a proper class, or we made it a non-primitive type, and it does the same thing. It has also primitive methods for us to use whenever we want. But it does the same thing. The functionality is totally the same. Number, both of them are numbers. Yes, in addition, you can directly assign them to each other. You can say integer number y, number w is equal to integer number, things like that. Don't worry about them for now. There are a few examples here. For example, integer number and integer number wrapper. As you can see, they are doing the same job. They are only storing the numbers. But we can, if we use wrapper class, when you add that after it, you can receive max value or out of different methods. They are at your service. You can use them whenever you want. Just write integer dot. You will be able to use them. For example, there's another method to find the maximum value. If you write maximum, integer dot max, and if you write the numbers there, automatically we'll be able to find the maximum number among them. It is very same for the Boolean too. This is the primitive type. You can understand from the first letter. This is a wrapper class. As you can see, first letter is a capital. And we have a string variable here. It's a non-primitive. Here we are using we are using Boolean wrapper class name and value of control, for example. It was false, and as you can see, actually it's a string with double quotes. But if you use this method, you can turn it to an actual result, actual value for a Boolean. Yes, we have used a few of those methods. You should be able to remember them. Oh, let's not touch this class. It's a long topic. We can solve a few questions from here. It says write a code that prints average 3 integer values as double. Let's try to solve this one. I will try to copy it. And I will open the class for it. Always solving a question is better than explaining something, because by doing practice, I think it's the best way of learning. Name CO6 questions. Okay. First thing first, name method and the question. We will write a code that prints the average of three int values as double. As you can see, we are going to write two integer numbers, but we are not taking them from user. So it's very easy. Integer first number. I can assign any number. Let's make it smaller. Integer second number. I haven't think any logic for now. While typing them, I'm thinking third number, and it will be anything. First, it is very easy to write, of course. First part, let's try to calculate average value of this three numbers. Let's create a double result, and it will be equals to how do we calculate average value of three numbers? You just need to calculate sum of those three numbers, and we should divide the result by 3 to calculate the average number. Calculate the sum of them and write them by the number of numbers. Okay, let's calculate the sum of those numbers. 12 plus 18. I'm sorry, of course. First number plus second number plus third number. This is the sum of three numbers. I should divide the result by 3. If I write it like this, it will only divide the third number. It won't touch the first two numbers. So first I want to calculate the sum, then I want to divide it by 3. And after that, let's see the result. It's a really easy question out of this part. As you can see, it says 17. Okay, it is possible. If I make it 19, average numbers should have the decimal unit, right? But still, even though I changed one of them, it is still a whole number. I can see the 0, but there is something wrong here. And I don't know. I know what's the problem here. When you use integer numbers, if all of them are integer, the result will be also an integer. All the numbers are integer, it means result will be integer. In a calculation, if all numbers are integers, the result of that calculation will also be an integer. I mean, even though the result has decimal units, it won't be calculated that way because integer cannot store decimals. How can I change that? If there is only one double in the calculation, the result will be double. If we want to see decimal units, at least one number should be double dotted line. At least one number should be a double. But here we do not have any double number. All of them are integer. Let's do casting. Let's force them to change double. As you can see, the result will change. Of this, I hope. It was 17. Right now, we can see the decimal units because now one of them is double and the result will be double. Let's change it to the 18 and Let's see what happens. Here, at first, it wasn't 700, it was decimal units there, but because of all the numbers were integers, we couldn't be able to see the decimal units. And do you have any question for me? I would actually, I'm dying to answer some questions here. If you have, please ask them. You can use Zoom channel or Slack channel, whatever you want. No questions? Okay, let's continue that. I will try to solve another question. Let's check them. I get a number from user no matter what number, under whatever value the user enters. Convert that number to a number between minus 128 and plus 127. And print it. Okay, this is an easy one. Yes to that. It is an easy question. If you understand the logic, of course. Oh, no, not the point. If you can remember those numbers, you can do it easily. I will share the question. Okay. Let's solve it now. I shared from the Zoom channel. C07 questions. Oh, no, circulars. Okay, I have created another class. Now let's create the main method. And the question is here. Okay. That's better. We will get a number from user. No matter what, whatever the value user enters, we will convert that number to a number between blah, 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 blah. And we will finish. If you can remember the limits of the byte, it's an easy question. Let's say user entered a long number. When we convert it to the byte, the result will be always between those numbers. Let's do that. First, we are trying to take a value from user. If you remember, it means we should use scanner. And they were 3 steps. First one, creating the scan object. Second one, informing user that we want something from him or her. The third one, storing that data. Let's create a scan object. Scanner, scan, new scanner system.in. That's all. Let's inform user. So please enter a number. Then we need to store it somewhere. It will be an integer. So let's create an integer value and save it there. Integer, enter it, number. I'm planning to take it from user. It means I have to use scan object that I have created. Scan dot. I'm planning to take integers, so I will use next int here. Okay, first step is completed. I could be able to take the number from user. Let's print it. So enter number. I will enter 100, for example, and system will print 100. Uh, 100 and print 100. Let's use a bigger number, which is not between the limits. I will use 300. Oh, it is not working. As you can see, it printed 200. So I should do something here. You know, this is the integer value, and I should cast it to byte. If I cast it byte, always the result will be between those limits. Byte number between limits. It will be equal to entered number. But I will force this entered number to a byte. To force it, I should write byte here. And now, instead of entered number, I will write number between the limits. Let's see it now. Again, I will enter 100. Oh, it is just like the previous one. The result is 100 because 100 is between limits. Now, if I use 300, as you can see, 44. No matter what I do, always the result will be between those numbers because byte cannot store lower or higher numbers. Do you have any question for me? No? If you have, please ask. You can ask from anywhere. Now let's go solve another question. It says, take two double numbers from user, okay, divide the first number by the second number, okay, print the integer part of the result of the division operation. Okay, we are going to take two numbers from user. Both of them should have decimal units, and we will divide them by other. But the result should show on the integer part. We are not going to print decimal units. Perfect. Let me save, copy the question 4, and I will also share it from Zoom channel. I'm not sure if you are using it, but still I'm sharing. Normally, I will share it from the Slack channel, but I won't be able to see any movement in the Slack channel, so I'm using this Zoom channel. Okay, let's open another question here. CO8 questions. This will be the last question for today. Then we will have a test. I have a top quiz for you. It says take two double from the user. Oh yes, we are going to take data from user. It means scanner class. I have forgotten to create main method. Let's create the main method. Okay. First, let's complete this part without touching the second part. Scanner, scan, new scanner system dot in. Then I should write an explaining. So please enter first double, and I should store this double to somewhere. Double, I will create a double box for it. First number, it will be equal to scan dot. As you can see, I'm trying to store a double now, so I cannot use next int. Instead, I should use next double because I will store a double now. Okay. Now I'm expecting to receive the second double, so let's write another explaining. So please enter second double. And I will store the second number to another double box, double second number. It will be taken from the user. Okay. Now I have completed the first part. I have taken all the data required for the calculation. The question is, oh, what have I done? Here it is. The question is, it's at the first step, we should divide the first number by the second number. Okay. I will create another double. Your name will be result. And I will divide first number by second number. Okay, this is the part. And it's a print integer part of the result. You know, if I print the result here, result, let's see what happens. Before doing anything, I wanted to see the result. First double, 12. The second double, 35. I just randomly take some numbers. And as you can see, there are a lot of decimal units. So I don't want that. Somehow I should get rid of the decimal units. I don't want to see the numbers after comma. Here it's start, don't worry about it. But it is the right side is decimal units. Okay. How can we get rid of decimal units? It is very easy actually. When you assign a double value to an integer, you know, integer can only store whole number, it cannot store decimal units. So automatically, we won't see any decimal unit in the integer value. So it will work. When we assign a double number to an integer number, because integer data type cannot store decimal units, there won't be any decimal units in integer. Let's do that. I will create another integer result. It will be equal to result. And let's print the integer result. Oh, it is saying you cannot do that because the result is double. Let's use force. Integer. Okay. Now let's print the integer result. So integer result. I will enter random numbers. 35. For the second number, as you can see, it is 0 because the result is 0 dot blah 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 blah. Let's enter a big number for the first one. 100. Very long. And 12. And as you can see, normally there will be a lot of decimal units here, but there is none. Okay. Now let me prepare the quiz. If it is ready, we can do it. Give me a few minutes. I'm checking right now. No, it's not ready. Okay. Sorry for that. I will ask for second. Oh, I think I found. I don't have time to check it, so okay. Now we will solve the questions. I think it should be ready. Normally, after today, I will share the link with you. You will be able to enter it before the lesson. Then we are going to solve the questions in the lesson. In the Google, you should write Socrates student and just click on this login one. And here, room name should be Madden 8603. When you do that, you will be able to enter the quiz. Madden 8603. And the name can be anything. I will use Madden for now. And we are here in the quiz. Which of following is wrong for the class creation? It says. If you remember the class creation, first you need to write the declaration, a few properties for the class, and the name of the class, curly brackets, and the body between them. It says which of the following is wrong for the class. The selection between curly braces called class structure. No, it is called body. Curly braces curly bracket is used after class declaration. It is true. Each class has a body. Yes, it's also true. The name of the class starts with the capital letters. Oh yes. Always name of classes start with a capital. So only B is wrong here. So what's happening? Did I lost the connection? Okay, refresh the page. Sorry for that. I think there's a problem there. Madden 8603 and the name Smith. Okay, the first one was wrong. Let's try. It's working. It's working. Which of the following options must be used to create a runnable class? Let's remember the class. Normally, when we are creating a class, we have used the declaration, name, and curly brackets. I think you should be able to remember. But important thing here, it says options. There might be more than one right answers here. You should be very careful. There's a plural. It is plural, so there might be more than one right answer. Which of following options must be used to create a runnable class? To run a class, I think you should remember there should be a main method. Runnable means there should be a green symbol like this. If it is not there, you cannot run the class. So this is correct. We do not need variables. If you do not create any variables, still it will work. We need, do we need normal brackets? No. Declaration, name, curly brackets. No, it's not necessary. But we need curly brackets, right? Here, there should be curly brackets. So this one is also true. I will choose two options here. And we will continue. Taking understanding code from programmers and translating them into the binary code that computer can understand is called. Do you remember we write, it is the first lesson, we write our code by using Java programming language, but computer cannot understand what's happening there. For the computer, everything should be 10110001100110. So, what is the name of this process? If you remember, it was called compile. It is not public. Yes, GDK does the work, but the process called compile. It's not, of course, a case modifier. So right answer is A. It says correct. Okay. Which is the syntax is correct to create main method? If you remember, to run a class, we have to create a main method. And I told you that the syntax is fixed. Always we have to write like it is, how it is. Public static void main. Public static void main. Those were the order of 4 words. Public static void main. The words are correct. Oh, this is not correct. Public static. Oh, this is not also correct. Public static void main. It should be like this. We have only 2 options here now. Oh, as you can see, this is any brackets, and there should have been another bracket here, but there isn't. So even though I do not know the syntax, I can understand this is not the right one. Let's put another cross here. It's not the right one. Public static void main, correct. But those curly brackets are not correct, so this is not the right one. This means this is a typo here. Sorry for that. This is the right one. I made a typo here. There should be a normal bracket here to make it exactly correct. I will fix it. Let me take a note. I will fix it. Question 4, syntax. Question 4, syntax. Let's continue. Which of the following options are true, it says? Again, options question, plural, they might be more than one to answer. It says bit is the smallest part of the computer. It is true. If you remember, when we divide the memory places like this, 1, 2, 1, 0, 1, 1, 0, it goes on like this. And the smallest part, a box, is called bit, so it is true. A byte equals to 8 bit. Yes, if you take 8 boxes like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, one more, it was called byte, so it is also true. Everything that is processed or stored on a computer is called data. Yes, you know, everything we see, everything we do it with data. So everything is data for the computer. A bit can only have one or 0 values. Yes, you know, every box can store only 1 data, and it can only 1 and 0. It means it's also true. So this is an happy ending. Everybody's right, and this is a happy ending for everybody. All of them are right here. Correct. So, which of following is correct for declaring and assigning a variable value? If you remember, integer number equals to 12. It should be like this. First, there should be data type. Integer. Oh, this is not right. Then the name. I think here it is x, 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 x. Okay. I'm gonna equal to symbol, integer x. Oh, there is no equal symbol. No, that's not the one. Integer x, the name equal symbol 12 and semicolon. It seems like it is right. Check here. Integer x, semicolon. Integer. Oh, there is no equal symbol. This is not the correct one. So right one is the D. This is the syntax. We should always create them like this. 7. Which order is correct for creating and assigning a variable? Let's take the example again. Integer and number is equal to 12. First variable name, no. Value, no. Data type, yes. The first is data type. Okay. This is not the right answer. Then variable name, right? This is the name of variable. I will write 1. P1. This is not the right one. Then equal symbol, equal sign. Okay, for 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 4. Oh, I found the right one. Okay, let's continue. Value is 12 and semicolon. Okay, wow. 1, 2, 4, 1, 5. This is the right answer. Which of following is not difference between primitive and non-primitive data types? If you remember, primitive was simple ones. Non-primitive means it has pre-made methods. Let's check the first one. Java created a primitive data type, and we cannot create it. Yes, we cannot create our own primitive data type. That's correct. There will be only 8 primitive data type in Java, and we cannot change this number. We cannot increase it. We can create non-primitive data type. Java can too. Yes, we can. If you can, Java also can. That's absolute. But don't worry. This is right. We can also create non-primitive data types. That's correct. But we are looking for a wrong one. Okay. See, variables in the primitive data K contain only value. Oh, yes, primitive data K, I couldn't understand what it means, but I know that values in primitive data contain only value. That's correct. The name and value will be there. That's only thing. Non-primitive primitives contains values and methods, pre-made methods, which are created by Java. This is also correct. The area occupied by the primitive data type in the memory varies, changes, and is fixed according to data type. Oh, yes. For example, integer takes, if I remember, 32 byte. Byte takes only 8 bit. I'm not sure, but this should be the names. No matter value is, they will always take a fixed place in the memory. The first part is correct. Are occupied by non-primitive primitives in the memory varies according to data type and the size of data it contains. That's correct. For example, string is a non-primitive data type, and I can store a name, or I can store a novel, a long text, a book here. It can have 1,000 pages. So they cannot be same, right? The second one, which has 1,000 pages in it, will take more place in the memory, so it's also correct. We have only B option here. It shouldn't be correct. So let's try to understand from that angle. The primitive data type begins with uppercase. No. Primitive data type starts with the lowercase, and non-primitive data type starts with the uppercase. So without any doubt, this is the wrong one. It's not a difference between them. It is totally wrong. Question 9. In which case all primitive data types are written? There should be 8 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The number is correct. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 4, 1, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, this didn't take us anywhere. So let's focus on the values. Boolean, char, byte, short, long, float, double, string. This is not right. Yeah, race. The first letter should be a capital, and it is not a. It is not a primitive data type. It's actually a non-primitive, so this is not correct. Boolean, char, byte, short, integer, long, float, double. It seems right. Let's check others. Char, byte, short, int. Oh, object. And the first letter is a capital. Oh, no, it's the non-primitive. It's the first case. If the first letter is a capital, it means it's a non-primitive data type. It's not correct. Boolean byte object. Oh, here. We haven't seen anything like this. Even though the first letter is a lowercase, I know that there is no object in the primitive data types, so it's not correct. Right answer is C. Let's clean everything. Which of the following is true? Float number. If you are planning to assign a float number, there should be an F at the ending. Byte count equal to question mark. String str equals to another question mark. Boolean is expensive. Oh, when you are assigning a Boolean, you should not use single quotes, so this is not true. Char first have when you are assigning a char, you cannot use double quotes. Instead, you should have used single quotes. It's not true. What about this one? Byte count blah blah blah. The number is very long. Perhaps it won't work because of that. But this string str false. When you are assigning an str, I'm sure this is true. Because when you use equal similar, whatever you write between double quotes, it will work. If there wasn't double quotes here, it wouldn't, but this will work. I'm sure of that. So this is the right answer. Correct. It says. The last one. Which of following options are non-primitive? As you can see, we are looking for non-primitive ones. String. This is a non-primitive, right? Boolean, this is not. I'm absolutely sure. Double, this is not. This is a primitive. Object, search. Very interesting. Non-primitive types should start with a capital letter, so I will choose this one. I haven't seen this one, but the first letter is a capital, so it should be a non-primitive type. I am sure that it's not primitive, so it should be non-primitive. Okay, we got 100 score, 100% score. Thank you very much, and I hope to see you tomorrow. Thank you very much. We will have also tomorrow lesson. Don't forget to be there. Good night.